ou Virginie peut-être?
Tapage.
Ok, il est 13 h. Alors, je pense que les participants commencent à rentrer dans la salle. Bienvenue à tout le monde. On va attendre.
Welcome to everyone. Everyone is coming into the room. Take the time to settle into this virtual conference room, and we'll take a few moments before we start. We haven't planned for any waiting room music, unfortunately, but hello, everyone.
Bonjour aux personnes qui viennent de se joindre. On est en train de s'installer.
Hello to the people who have just joined us. We're allowing people to settle in. We'll start in exactly 4 minutes. Welcome.
Encore une fois, on va commencer dans quelques minutes. Merci pour votre patience. Bienvenue à tous.
We shall start in a few minutes. Thank you for your patience. Welcome, everyone.
Voilà, j'ai un peu de musique pour faire patienter. Est-ce que vous entendez?
Well, there you go. I have some music here while you wait. Can you hear that?
Alors, bienvenue aux personnes qui viennent de se joindre. On va commencer dans quelques minutes. Bienvenue. Ok, alors je pense qu'on va pouvoir commencer. Il est 13h05. Merci pour votre patience. On voulait s'assurer que les personnes aient le temps de pouvoir se connecter pour pouvoir rejoindre notre présentation aujourd'hui. Alors, je travaille sur deux écrans, excusez-moi. De temps en temps, je vais avoir la tête tournée, mais je vais m'assurer de voir les différents animateurs tout en pouvant communiquer avec vous. Alors déjà, bienvenue. On va juste faire un petit tour de table, la table virtuelle. Je vais me présenter, je m'appelle Baptiste Alain Bourcardès, je suis le directeur du secteur qui livre des programmes et services pour les nouveaux arrivants au Collège Boréal. Je
Newcomers at
passe
Collège
la
Boréal,
parole à
and I
Lorraine.
will pass it
Je te
over to
présente
Lorraine.
Lorraine.
And Lorraine, if you could introduce yourself. Hello, my name is Lorraine Hamilton, manager of the LINC Adapt
Merci Lorraine
program.
d'être avec
Thank
nous
you, Lorraine.
aujourd'hui.
Thank you for being with us today.
Virginie,
And Virginie,
ton micro Virginie est sur muet.
you're on mute, Virginie.
Excusez-moi, bonjour à toutes et à tous. Je
Apologies.
suis
Hello,
Virginie
everyone.
Courbière. Je suis
I am
spécialiste
Virginie
au
Courbière. I'm a
service
specialist
immigration et programme en immigration au Collège Boréal. Je travaille
immigration
pour
program
le secteur
services at
et le
Collège
programme pour les
Boréal.
nouveaux arrivants.
And I worked for the
Merci
newcomers
Virginie. Puis
program
enfin
sector.
Élise.
Thank you, Virginie. Finally, Elise.
Bonjour, mon nom est Elise Cotter.
Hello, my
Je
name is
travaille pour le
Elise
groupe
Cotter.
service
I'm in charge
immigration
of
au Collège Boréal.
immigration
Merci Élise.
services and
Puis je vais
programs at
prendre le temps
Boréal.
pour
Thank you,
remercier
Elise,
les
and I will take the
interprètes.
time to thank the
L'atelier est déroulé en
interpreters.
français aujourd'hui.
The workshop
Alors,
is delivered
merci
in
aux
French
personnes
today,
qui
so thank
s'occupent
you
de
to the
pouvoir
people
communiquer le message en
managing
anglais, aux personnes
to convey the
francophones
message in
qui participent
in
aujourd'hui en
Shakespeare's
anglais pour
language,
les
in the
interprètes,
English
et à
language, to those
OCASI d'avoir
participating today. So
facilité
thank you to the
l'interprétation pour
interpreters
cette
and
présentation.
OCASI to
On va
have
s'assurer
facilitated the
d'articuler et de
simultaneous
parler
interpretation for this
suffisamment
presentation.
lentement
We'll make sure to
pour que les
articulate
interprètes
and
aient la
will
parole
do so
facilement.
at a slow
Alors,
enough pace to
aujourd'hui, on vient
ensure
vous
the work of the
présenter
interpreters. So
le
today
module de
we
formation
wish to
linguistique
present
adapté au Collège
our
Boréal
adapted
et
language
innovante au
training, a
Collège
holistic
Boréal.
and innovative approach at
C'est une
Collège Boréal.
formation
And
qui a
this
obtenu un financement
is a training that has
ORCC, donc
obtained
le gouvernement
funding,
fédéral, l'immigration,
OTRCC funding,
réfugiés,
so
politique et Canada, à
federal
travers des fonds
funding from
provinciaux pour les
Immigration, Refugees,
langues
and Citizen
sous
Canada
mandat par
under the guise of
l'OCDE,
official languages and PALO.
l'Organisation
And PALO
mondiale.
is
Le
the official
projet
languages action
émane de
plan.
consultations
And so
communautaires qui ont eu
the
lieu en
project
2018
was formed
qui portait sur
and
l'accessibilité
stemmed
des
from
formations
a
en
community
langue,
project and
les
accessed
différents
on
modes de
language
livraison, des processus
education
d'évaluation,
and
et
access,
tout le
different
cadre de
modes of
suivi qui
delivery,
entoure
process
les
of
programmes
evaluation and
et qui nous
testing,
ont amenés
everything revolving
à
around
proposer cette
language
approche
courses,
intégrée à
which
travers
enabled
des
us
éléments de
to
financement
come up with an
qui ont été
integrated
associés
approach
maintenant depuis
via
2019.
funding. And this project
Alors, on peut
has
passer à la
been
prochaine
set up
slide,
since 2019.
Élise.
And we can move to the next
Alors,
slide, if you
l'objectif
will,
de
Elise.
la
And so
présentation
the
d'aujourd'hui,
objective
c'est
of the
d'essayer
presentation
de
today,
partager un modèle
well,
de
already is to
développement de
share
capacité
a
linguistique
holistic delivery
à la
model
fois
that
de cours de langue
merges
en anglais et en
language
français
training
avec
services
des
in both French and
services
English with
d'intégration.
settlement
C'est un
and
concept qui a été introduit par le Collège
integration
Boréal, donc on va
services.
vous parler
And
du
this
Collège
was
Boréal tout à
introduced
l'heure
by Collège
et qui
Boréal. We'll
présente
talk to
une
you about
approche qui
Collège
soutient les
Boréal
arrivants
later on,
dans tout leur
which
parcours
presents an
d'intégration
approach
socio-économique
that supports
grâce à
language
la formation
training
linguistique.
clients in their social and
Enfin, la
economic
deuxième partie de la
integration.
présentation,
And finally, the third objective of the
avec l'appui du
presentation
bailleur de fonds, c'est de
with
vous
the
présenter
support
l'accessibilité
of
du programme
the
et à
funder is
développer
to provide
potentiellement des
access to the
partenariats
program.
en dehors des
And
centres
so
urbains
to
avec
develop
des
also
organismes représentés aujourd'hui et donc
partnerships with urban
qu'on puisse
centers
continuer
by
à
those
servir le plus
represented
grand nombre
today
de
and
nouveaux arrivants.
for to also serve a
Puis le
greater
quatrième objectif
number
que je vais
of
rajouter à
newcomers.
cette liste,
So it encourages the
c'est peut-être
replication of the
un
global
espoir, c'est
approach
que
to
la
continue to serve
présentation se
more
fasse sans
newcomers.
souci technique.
And of course,
Je rappelle
we
donc le
hope this
modèle exécuté
presentation
que nous
will
suivons
not have
avec
any
les
technical glitches.
animateurs
We have a
derrière ce
model we
petit
are currently
stress,
following, and the
derrière le
moderators always
micro
have that
qui
little stress
indiquait
at the
que
back of their mind
oui, la
that
vidéo n'est pas
a
assez.
moderator might
On
be
va se souhaiter
disconnected or that the
une
video might
excellente
not come on.
présentation et
So
qu'on puisse
we'll wish and
aller
hope
très vite.
for a
Alors, on va passer à la prochaine diapositive, Élise.
a fluid and seamless
Parfait.
presentation
Donc, avant de commencer la
without
présentation, je vais
events.
vous donner un petit
And
aperçu
before
sur l'événement.
presenting the
Donc, pour
presentation, we
commencer, on va
wanted
vous
to
donner
give
une
you an
idée de
overview of the
présentation,
outline.
qui nous
And
sommes en tant
so
que
we're going to give you
collège
some
et
context on
programme
who we
d'immigration.
are as
À
a
travers
college
la
and the
francophonie en
immigration
Ontario,
sector. And so
le
uh,
parcours et les
the Francophone or the French-speaking environment is like in Ontario, and the challenges of newcomers when coming to Canada when they attempt to establish themselves and integrate. And then we'll provide our model in terms of immigration sector for newcomers and which is our approach and our socio-economic integration. Then we'll focus on the LINC adapted program, next on the socio-economic integration immigration service. If you'll just allow me in my introduction, I wanted to mention that there will be a Q&A period at the end of the presentation. If you have any questions, you can jot them into the chat box, although it'll be difficult to monitor throughout the presentation, but we're open, totally open to answering questions at the end of the presentation. Therefore, we did plan for some time to allow for some questions and answers to be exchange. Therefore, le Collège Boréal. Collège Boréal was established in 1995, one of two public French-speaking colleges in Ontario, and at the core of our institution, we offer a one-stop shop or everything under one roof. We offer post-secondary education as well as basic and apprenticeship training, newcomer services, employment services, customized training, applied research, and of course, our services, as I said, to our newcomers. So because of this one-stop shop under one roof, we can guide our students and our clients, our customers, towards programs, services internally and externally based on their profile and their needs. And so we are everywhere province-wise. We have 7 campuses in high schools, as well as 38 sites to access our programs and our services in 26 communities province-wide. The immigration sector was established in 2004. So for almost 17 years now, we've been offering numerous programs and services, including language courses and technical training.
He has access.
Excuse me. And and training focused on the technical aspect as well as cultural skills, competencies, and transition to the labor market. We also have quality programming that supports newcomers in their integration as well as their skills and experience growth, positioning the sector. And so planning is key and it's core within our positioning to assist newcomers to integrate fully within Canadian society in order to be able to engage with their communities and also to explore their full professional potential. Now, French-speaking folks in Ontario. And so they represent 4.7% in Ontario. And so these are bilingual, they speak French and English, and this accounts for 11.2% of the entire population in Ontario. And 1/3 of these Francophones or French-speaking folks were born outside of Canada. And so the majority of Francophones is highest in Eastern Ontario. So near Ottawa, in the Ottawa region, and northeastern Ontario, such as in Sudbury, North Bay, Timmins. And there are also 26 designated areas in Ontario where bilingual services are offered in Ontario due to the French language law that was adopted by the Ontario government in 1986. And 26 designated areas represent approximately 80% of the French-speaking population in Ontario. Therefore, before providing more details on the challenges of the newcomer, we wanted to share a more personal story. So we have the journey of a newcomer as well as that of our new colleague, Martin Junior Atenua, that we will share via video.
tout le monde. Je réponds au nom
Hello,
de
everyone. I'm answering on behalf of Martin Junior et Tenua. The South Africa is my country of origin, and I left my country in 2012 due to the war. It was with the objective of going to borderline countries to complete my university studies. And we walked kilometers on foot to flee the rebels and to be away from the risks and dangers.
d'aller au Congo-Brazzaville. Pourquoi ce choix? Car c'était le pays où la voie n'était pas.
And this is where the roads were not yet closed because of the war, and where we can manage to go to easily. And I worked or lived in a Brazzaville rather for 4 years. In a Brazzaville, I could not continue my university studies in computer software. And when the university did not have a computer program, I had to request that I can study in commerce, international commerce, and I got my license afterwards. And then I was immediately hired by Canal Plus. It's like Bell Canada. And as a stock manager, I worked for this company for 2 years. Stock and inventory manager. I hadn't even requested to come to Canada. It's a little odd. I hadn't filled out any application. One day I was contacted by HCR, it's the Refugee Commission. I was called and I was told that I was retained to come to Canada. And I thought, wow, a gift fallen from the sky. And from there on, we started the proceedings. And I started to do research to learn and to find out more on employability, on life in Canada, everything in general. In fact, what we had studied in geo-studies in school. But in my mind, it was not Canada, it was Canal, the Canada where there is milk and honey, because we hear that people don't look for work in Canada. It's the work that seeks out the people. And I have almost like 10 tons of dreams of integrating Canada. I had completely forgotten what my canal was reserving and saving for me as a challenge. And November 16, 2017, the date I arrived in Canada, a new culture, a new system, and many other challenges. And all was going well for a few weeks. And I started to realize that it wasn't the canal that I thought it was truly Canada. First challenge, the language challenge. I was of level 1 and 2. To speak and understand English was truly difficult and challenging for me. Windsor University doesn't have a program in logistics or in linguistics, and the teaching is only in English. And to that was added the lack of experience related to Canadian employment. I was completely depressed and I had collapsed and lost hope in every respect. So one day I was directed towards Collège Boréal through my English teachers to be exposed to this training program. And I was told that it was a French speaking college and it could perhaps help me. And so then I was convinced that I should go through Canadian integration through 3 things: language, Canadian education, and Canadian experience related to employment, but that she could not decide on my behalf. She was from the agency. She gave me options, but the final decision and the choice of my integration was up to me. You can imagine, dear colleagues, 5 years of university studies, my work experience, and that I had to go back to school in college appeared to be absurd initially when I think back. But that day, that's when I understood that I needed to create a new personality to temporarily forget my past and to make an enlightened decision to integrate while focusing on these three criteria that I've just mentioned. So then I felt somewhat relieved and also fulfilled. And I can tell you that today I now realize that I did not make a bad decision. And so since then, from 2017 to 2021, what did Martin succeed in doing with this integration process? Well, Martin's English improved because I learned to sing in English on YouTube, and I would watch 2 to 3 movies in English per day.
Les oreilles à mieux écouter et puis pour une meilleure compréhension. Et j'ai fait quoi? Le programme ACE.
And so I went through the ACE program, which enabled me to contact the team to be admitted to the post high school program in business technique and administration. And this awarded me a certificate. I was a volunteer worker at Bayan from 2018 to 2021, and I concluded my collegial studies with a 2-year diploma after attending Collège Boréal. And I started working for Collège Boréal in 2018. Among other things, as a liaison officer tied to settlement recruitment officer for the CLIC program, and currently navigator in socioeconomic integration and coordinator for assistance and support at the Windsor site. So you have to understand that I came into Boreal as a client, and I was received by pretty much all of the services of the Collège Boreal. And as a result, today, Martin is now working for Collège Boreal. Imagine the joy of them receiving me as a client when I came in as a customer. And today we are work colleagues. Now, undoubtedly, and if you will allow me, I mean, I'm the palpable result of this integration philosophy that is socio-economic as well by Collège Boréal. And what helped me achieve this new integration dream was what? Was the integration plan, the socio-economic integration plan. I will give you my secret. I developed 2 things that I will never forget ever since I've been here in Canada. Firstly, as you know, is my personal slogan for those who know me. Martin is always doing well. But behind that slogan is hidden the resilience. What else is hidden? Perseverance. What else is hidden? Hope. And my magic integration formula, a socioeconomic formula based on the Collège Boréal formula, well, it may appear like that, but it's Martin. I developed, a formula, ECR, that is equal to MA MB minus 3A. Now, how can I explain that? I mean, socioeconomic integration equals NA newcomer. And so I replace that by Martin. And so B, what's B? B is the barrier. And when you remove the barrier, well, then 3A. 3A represents what? 3 accelerators to socioeconomic integration, which made of me what I am today. Therefore, dear colleagues, according to Martin, there does not exist, there will never exist a new socioeconomic integration for newcomers. Allow me to explain. We are imperfect human beings, and everything we do will never be perfect. But while it exists, and it's a successful socioeconomic integration plan, and it only needs to be improved. And to make it there, and to achieve this, each and every newcomer must not live in the past and must realize and become aware of his or her own barriers tied to one's integration, to take the brave decision and mark my words, to make an enlightened and a brave decision to confront these and develop new personality traits. And although there are visible integration barriers, we can talk about these, but there are invisible barriers that we live on a daily basis, and newcomers live this daily, psychologically, that nobody can see or feel. I am the father of two girls. When I left, my first daughter was only 4 years old. She's now 13. And you can understand how this factors in and how this might be involved. The second one was only 1 year old, and soon she will turn 10 years old. So to conclude, it's not because I work at Collège Boréal that I'm doing any kind of marketing. No, I just want to share my story with you. And if my story could help guide, help change, contribute to the success of socioeconomic integration of newcomers, I assure you that Martin will be there and most happy. And I thank you greatly for paying attention and listening to my story tied to integration. Thank you so much.
Ok, donc comme Martin nous montre et comme beaucoup
As
de
Martin has shown, and much of our work has shown, it's no surprise that newcomers are facing challenges linked to settlement, integration. Many newcomers find that their skills, their technical knowledge and know-how does not translate into the Ontario or Canadian market due to language issues, cultural issues, and perhaps the different settlements in various fields or areas. Of course, you always have systemic barriers such as discrimination. We also find that many newcomers have personal or family obligations. Therefore, they need to find a precarious or part-time job, which is not to the height of their professional experience. And many newcomers, therefore, decide to compromise their goals, their objectives, to provide to their children and the second generation this opportunity to pursue their goals and their objectives. Martin is special. As he described himself, he always had this motivation, this resilience, and unfortunately, there are newcomers or clients who cannot find that motivation. They are disillusioned. They don't believe in their potential. Therefore, I will pass it over to Baptiste again for the follow-up. Yes, we would have liked to have had Martin with us today, but we carried him with us to convey his message. As he said in the end, the fact that his message can be shared makes him happy. So thank you, Martin, remotely. And the following observations pursuant to his presentation are nothing new in terms of French-speaking providers, service providers that work with us. Many of you are experts in the field of settlement. And so these are things that you are confronted with, that you face on a daily basis. And how might we enable a system to improve? How to help an individual achieve his full potential? And we've created this ourselves within our program and our introspection of services. How can we make the connection between the dream of every individual and reality? And how to overcome the disconnect between promises that are made prior to departure and the reality upon arrival, and all these barriers that we are faced with? How to break that circle of negativity that surrounds us once we arrive in Canada? There's so many missed opportunities. So many people cannot manage to fully integrate due to systematic or systemic barriers, or who suffer the situation for too many years. How, for us as a sector, might we continue to support and assist while being strategic? And as Martin and Elise mentioned, now any individual can reinvent himself or herself. He spoke of personality. It's important to preserve one's personality, but we can reinvent our profile if we wish to do so while relying on skills, qualifications, whether it be somebody that already has an education when
to
coming to
have
Canada, or even one
and
that
then
does
had to
not,
stop
and had
that
to
journey
discontinue
before
one's
coming to Canada.
education prior to
Systems
coming or in
exist
order to come to
to
Canada,
allow
to
each
propel
person to go
everybody,
ahead. So
everybody
it
forward.
necessitates
So the interventions
interventions that
need
are
to be
strategic
strategic, and
and
they
to
need, one
really
needs
realize
to realize
the
he or her own
own
potential, to get
potential,
back to it, to review it,
because
because after a
after a
series of
series of
disappointment, of feeling
mishaps, we lose hope.
conquered,
We are
one feeling
disillusioned, and
helpless,
there are
hopeless,
around us
disillusioned.
a lot of
Many
parents
parents,
that
yes,
sacrifice
will
themselves
sacrifice,
in
compromise many
brackets
things
to
and put
put
their
their
dreams aside, their
dreams aside to
aspirations
concentrate
aside, in
on
order to
their
focus
children.
on their children's
And
success.
the
And the
sacrifice of
studies
the
have
first
shown that
generation
sacrifices by the first
have
generation
a
will
negative
often have
impact
a
on.
negative.
Donc le secteur doit s'assurer que la première génération, un investissement soit fait pour qu'elle puisse grandir, fleurir.
So they
Grow,
can
flourish, and
have
provide
a good effect to the generation,
a future
to the
undertaking.
future generations. And we use in English the concept is to leverage the potential of the immigrant. So we're going to go to the first slide, and we wanted to do before going into technicality of the program, to give a better look at things are. So you see in front of you here the pyramid of Maslow. You are familiar with this kind of approach. It is something that we have studied at school. Maslow defined 5 needs that are linked to all human beings, not only a category of person, but every single human has physiological needs, security, belonging, esteem, and accomplishment. So we inspired to the of the council, the multicultural Saskatchewan, that want to have how to include in a spirit of integration. They wanted to define between establishment and integration. So establishing is so like integration. We go they have done a work that is based on the pyramid of Maslow. So when it comes to physiological need, it's basic needs to breathe, to eat, to live, to. When it comes to security, is to have access to public transportation, health needs, go to school, have access to social services, have a minimum income, and a good understanding of rights and duties. When it comes to belonging, is the capacity to participate at the community level, to create a network, a security feeling, to practice the faith, and then to have hobbies. And this allows us to have that belonging feel. And then at the higher level is development of competency, an employment, professional, financial independence, have included and heard, has trust in this, in their decisions, be proud of their person and not be judged by others. And these aspects can develop that self-esteem. And then finally, the accomplishment is a more complete integration, is the capacity to support other people that were in the same situation, contribute to the community, be expressing and then defend others, be independent of the services, not to have that stigma that of new arriving, to be proud of their roots while being belonging to somewhere. So a strong cultural identity within the community. So I wanted to take the time to go through that model, Maslow model, um, on the difference between establishment and integration, and it is part of every single organization. Next slide. So this uh, analysis of the Saskatchewan multicultural society, we have several things correlated Boreal in the 15 places throughout the province consultation to determine the 3 accelerators where new arrival have an impact. So other barriers also are beyond these accelerators, like discrimination to the hiring that is a subject when there is quite a lot of work to do. We have determined 3 accelerators where a new immigrant can uh, break some walls. And number 1 is the language, especially for the Francophone within that context. Acquisition or development of language proficiency, and for people have the perspective of a bilingual country. A lot of Francophones are deceived because the community within they are does not have French services. So for the Francophone is the acquiring the English language and developing competencies in English. Education is the second accelerator to develop technical competencies and under that accelerator, it's continuous training, formation, and a continuous education. It depends on the profile and the needs of each one, the qualification already acquired, depending on each one. Employers look for 40% of technical proficiency and 60 interrelational capacities. These aspects are really important when we identify the competencies, the technical competencies to develop. And finally, employers have the need to demonstrate some Canadian experience. So what is the Canadian experience? Several means to accelerate on that mechanism. And number 1, part-timers and trainings in parallel, programs that are training and to be able to do work within the community. And these added value to these to help the people to identify and to support integration of the people. So these 3 accelerators will break the barriers in order to planify, to plan and follow a training. The objective to work on these accelerators is to have the good information, the proper information during that integration to we are going to go back through these accelerators when we will plan with the social economical plan, and I will leave before. Yes, this is the slide that we're talking about. So when we are talking about a holistic approach, it is a combination of competency development in French and English, while receiving the support, the professional report at medium, at short, medium, and long term. So working on several accelerators while following the training. So more details to come. And I'm gonna, Lauren and Virginie will take the lead. So the program Click Adaptive have a linguistic training and social economical integration. This program was for the needs of the Francophone, Francophile that are that could benefit even at part-time that we can do. Why it's impossible? It is geographical issues in a minority environment, or schedule, or family obligations. So il y a des indices ici, the Canadian benchmark. So the criteria are the same for to be 18 years old and be permanent resident or refugee. So here is when it comes to the client profile that adhere to the program, 40% are at the Click Adapté, and the other one are at the LINC Adapted. 44% are Francophones. Ages is the same for LINC and the Click. 65% have a university diploma or post-secondary diploma. 63% work full-time or part-time. 10% are students full-time. We know that these that are involved in the linguistic evaluation training, especially the evaluation in French. So we have an orientation center that allow to do this evaluation in French and in English, but only when it comes to the clients that want to register to that program. And there is a lot Next slide. Here. So I am here to talk to you about the components of link and click, adapted link and click. So at my level, I'm gonna talk to you when it comes to the specialty of language and like client. I participated at the launch of the Click Adapted program. It was in 2020, and program Click Link Adapted are linguistic training in French and English. Training is online, and we have possibility of hybrid modules are within context. It's defined according to the knowledge of the Ontario government. The modules are conceived and developed when it comes to their video and belonging to community partners. The people um, evolve according to their needs and to reach their level, the next level. Modules are aligned at the levels of linguistic competencies. Donc, les indices de compétences, Canadian Linguist Benchmark. It follows a continuum in the modules. This means progress in that Canadian language benchmark from the level 3 to level 6 protocol of evaluation is the portfolio-based language. It is integrated within the modules. So for the students, what happened? There is a personal access of learning on the platform of the Collège Boréal. So the training and education portfolio-based language assessment. And number 2, modules are in line with Canadian language benchmark. So everything is ready for us teachers and for the students. So it is a convivial space, and the platform is accessible 24 hours per day. It is flexible. You can work at your pace. And there is feedback on the weekly work when it comes to the independent work and the competencies and evaluation is in line in the presence of the teacher, possibility to contact a tutor in order to obtain support, and circles of learning circle. So Lorraine will take over to explain the workshops for students have the possibility to participate at activity in 4 pillars based on the communication, nonverbal communication, to search for employment. We have sometimes taken sometimes to investigate that with success, and the workshop was based on the French Canada and Ontario Francophonie. We have that program, so it is important. It is important And like we said, we are going to talk about a component and innovation of the program, which is the intervenant en socio-economic, to help them in order to prepare them for a career. Thank you, Lorraine. I think the component of linguistic based on the format, independent studies, virtual classes, it is one of the courses that that was very limited up to now. It's something that was in place before the pandemic, and a lot of suppliers have done a rapid transition of their classes, part-time or full-times, that work in person. And then here, it's an autonomous, independent platform linked to virtual classes. So that component of socio-economic integration have supports to define the objectives through language, supporting the new arriving, the new immigrants. So in order to accelerate that potential, according to the experience of each one, the service, the objective of the service is to go beyond the needs establishment versus integration. The client reaches a platform of integration, and it is a service that is part of that language program through the province in Chatham, in Hamilton, London, Mississauga, Sudbury, Timmins, Toronto, Windsor, and distance learning. And starting January, offered in Barrie. So we can call Collège Boréal where how to do the supplying these services. So it is a service that is that complement existing services. So we're going to go in depth of the role of the navigator, which we call a navigator, and that accompany the participant at that linguistic training. It is based on the client. So the two are based by introduction of service. So how the management is going to be at midterm and long term. Each client has a different background, competencies, aspirations, and needs. Second step would be evaluation of the professional profile, the competencies, the qualifications, and to determine the needs linked to training and aspiration of the client. Creation of a plan of integration is jointly done. The objectives are belong to the client, and then he is in the driving seat, in driver's seat. So depending of the personalities and the follow-up system. There will also referencing that is done. The navigator acts like a navigator, and whether it's in community or in at the Collège Boréal as well. It is case by case. Follow-up are done every 3 months. Initial every 3 months, and up to the needs. The program can be modified according or tailored, if you want, according to these. So we have to work within the and referencing the client and to lead him into when it comes to for instance, housing, registering to at schools, etc. So it depends what they want. So it's tailored to each client. So alluding to the pyramid of Maslow, so there is two things. One is versus the integration, and then contribute to the needs of belonging and to accomplish things. Within that context, the work of establishment require a wide knowledge. It's a blend of specialist and generalist, and concentrate on the three accelerators that are the language, training, and obtaining Canadian Canadian experience. And we're going to work on the physiological needs and action plans that are linked to these needs in order to address rapidly the needs. So there is a complementarity between both of them, and that the key here is to have the good information at the right time. And the program are not working in isolation. So to have a support after that the person has came to Canada. So the professional worker will address the needs and efficiently and supply the accompanying the client. It's reactive, and it is according to the need of each client. At midterm and long term, so this is a general view. There is a good knowledge of the services that are linked to these three accelerators. It's a general approach, and there's a direct link between the teacher and the client. So it's an active communication where the teacher is acting as a coach in order to keep an eye on the objectives for the client. Why are they in class and what are the results? So it is real objectives, personal objectives. We see that the learning curve accelerates, and it is part of the linguistic competencies. We spend quite a lot of time in class. They know the profile of each one, and they have interventions when it comes to the support. It allows us to have ideal information for the participant. So today at the Collège Boréal, it is a holistic training that we offer through our sites and the province. All the people that follow the courses can benefit from the support of the services, and we have exchange people, and we can ask questions, and I'm gonna open the door to collaboration with organizations that are outside of urban centers or where the training can be limited or not accessible. So I think to share, I would like to share the contact of Lorraine. She's the coordinator of the program. in order to create more detail or create links and create an access point or a contact point and how to can have a partnership. So we are looking at other
Or you may unmute your microphone to ask a question if you don't want to put it in the chat. And I see your first question here. And so I'll afford to read it so my colleagues can hear it. Now, between both options that will follow, which one will truly favor the integration of newcomers to draw up policies that will ask newcomers to integrate to our culture here, or to submit or to subject to the expectations of those that require Canadian society to adapt to the cultural characteristics of the newcomers in order to facilitate their integration. So who wants to take the dive? I can read over your question, Lancine. I think both should be addressed. The idea is to propose aspects on which each individual can have a direct impact, especially when talking about the three accelerators under the theme of planning and integration. Of course, awareness, community awareness, employer open-mindedness, to have more willingness to give the opportunity to newcomers. Of course, that's clear. On the other hand, every individual can find a mechanism that will enable to sort of overcome those employability barriers. I don't know if this is answering your question, but often we'll say cultural skills or competencies, and this is for those to understand the culture, the employment culture within Canada, which is important to show during an interview this adaptability in interpersonal communications. And on the employer's side, it's important for him to understand interculturalism and how the HR policies of businesses are well suited to make everybody comfortable, every newcomer comfortable. And the emphasis now is far more on the ability of the newcomer to adapt, but the employer has a significant role to play as well. And I think that in more recent talks and discussions, conferences that we've been taking part in over the past 2 years, there's been awareness. Clearly, all sectors agree for employers to set in place better integration mechanisms work-wise or in their workplace. I don't know if my colleagues are done or if anybody else is interested. Yes, Virginie. I would like to share my experience with classes and with the classroom. It's a sort of meeting place where we teach using a certain method, LBT, which is a portfolio-based language assessment. It's an assessment based on the portfolio. We're in the presence of multicultural classes. And true enough, I think the question is dichotomic. There are two very different separate ideas. When we experience this in the classroom, we see that it's a meeting with the public, with a teaching method, and this teaching method is well suited to the Canadian culture. Therefore, there's an exchange, common collective teaching being held. And based on the research in Canada, one must understand that there are connections, relations that are woven. And when a country is greeting a newcomer, it's important to note that we can build the experience and the network. Thank you for the question. And I believe that our work is based on the relations and the relationships that are woven and built within this receptive country, and also in terms of multiculturalism. Thank you very much. Thank you, Virginie, for your contribution. Do we have anyone else who wishes to share? Perhaps we can restore Lorraine's contact in the chat, or we can reinsert her contact info to ensure follow-up, if you wish, after this presentation. Elise, thank you for putting in Lorraine's email contact in the chat box. Now, you see, maybe we'll wait for your question. Lancine has another question. Oh, one moment. I will unmute your microphone. Just give me a moment. I believe your microphone is now activated, Lancine. Hello. But we cannot hear you. I will retry one more time. Can you retry, Lancine? No, so I'm going to ask you to type in your question, please. Apologies. We activated your microphone, but we can't hear you. And I saw another question in the chat. Hello, Christina. And so you stated that you work in cooperation with settlement services providers. Now, can you also speak about these partnerships? Yes, of course. Yes. So yes, Collège Boréal offers settlement and integration services within certain communities, but not in all communities. So it's based on the offer of services, and there are relevant services in Hamilton, and the Community Health Center at Hamilton Niagara offers settlement services. A college offers language education and the support in terms of socio-economic integration. Another example is in Sudbury. No, not in Sudbury, I'm sorry, but in another area in Toronto, the French-speaking center in the Greater Toronto offers settlement services, and the college offers services related to language education and socioeconomic integration. As mentioned beforehand, those that are in language services, if French speaking, that work with a provider, if we identify basic needs that must be addressed and that weren't followed up by settlement services or through settlement, will be automatically referred to these organizations or agencies that are specialized and have the expertise to meet the needs. In fact, other partnerships with some settlement services providers that don't provide language services, there's a mechanism of access. So the establishment services can follow this language education that is remote online. So partnership methodology, partnership arrangements can be held between these agencies or organizations. This is why I was referring to partnership, and outside of urban centers, often community centers or organizations that don't offer linguistic or language services are limited in their options to offering clients in terms of developing their skills in linguistics or in the language area. I hope this answers your question, Christina. Lancine, perhaps your question was lengthy. I haven't seen it in the chat yet, but please feel free to contact us after this meeting with Lorraine or myself if you wish to pursue this discussion. I think our presentation is nearing the end. There are no additional questions, and I greatly thank you I thank you all for your participation. There are many people working in partnered French-speaking agencies and organizations. Thank you for being there. Thank you, OCASI. Thank you, everyone, to allow us to deliver this presentation in French, to have organized this interpretation this year. It's fantastic. I hope, one moment, excuse me, Lancine. And does Collège Boréal have programs for people who are in an in-between situation? The example of a person who immigrates to Canada while having a level of schooling, which does not allow one to be in high school and to perhaps complete a collegial program. Yes, there are two options. We have to determine the equivalency and not to go into a high school program, but a more advanced or post-secondary program. So through the school commissioner council that allows one to achieve 12th grade, there's academic upgrading in English, there's ACE in French, it's Accès Carrière Études, Access Career and Studies, which enables one to have an equivalency as well that will enable them to register in a post-secondary establishment or institution, thereby a college. The difference with the school council or commission is that there's no need to repeat all of the subjects to get the equivalency. It'll only be on the prerequisites for the program in which you want to register. And so if you've had math credits, you want to go because you want to go into business administration, you'll only have to work on certain subjects in terms of gaining time. If your objective is to attend college, the ACE program is faster than a full equivalency of a 12th grade. And so it's the accelerated version. And ACE also gives access to the learning program. Thank you for mentioning that, Lorraine. Indeed. So you can look this up on the college website, Access Career Studies. Otherwise, send us an email and we'll direct you to the people in charge of this program. And so I will conclude with my thanks. So thank you for the simultaneous interpretation and giving room to French-speaking organizations and agencies. Again, thank you for participating. We're concluding a little early, which gives you time to fetch a coffee before the next presentation, because I know our CASI conference agenda is very busy. And so you can also set contacts or get contacts on Feedloop. And thank you, everyone. Have a great day and a great rest of the afternoon.